Are we ready? So, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Cost Action Underground for Value webinar hosted by the Cyprus Institute. It's a pleasure for us to have you here today, and we are very happy to share with you this our contribution within the Cost Action project. This morning, this couple of hours will be spent in presenting by Giuseppe Pace, that is the chair of the Cost Action project, the whole project, and then we will focus on the contribution of Cyprus, that is the case studies of Ayia Napa monastery. We will have short presentation from Nicholas Bakirtzis and Sorin Hermon of the Cyprus Institute, and then we will give the floor to the stakeholders to hear their view, their point of view concerning the site, and have a more holistic description and information about Ayia Napa monastery. So I think that, unfortunately, the bishop of Constantine Famagosta, that was supposed to take part, is busy today with the synod. So he sent a video because he was very willing to take part in this meeting. So we will have the possibility to see his contribution. And again, the mayor of Ayia Napa is very busy. We were talking a few minutes ago at the phone, and he will join us later on. While we are, and I think we are all here now, so we can start. We can start with the presentation of this Cost Action project by Giuseppe Pace, that is the action chair, and he's at the National Research Council of Italy. Good morning, Giuseppe, and please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mia, and good morning to all of you, and thanks to the Cyprus Institute for having organize these case studies and this webinar. I will like to present just a little the action in order that we have, let's say, a common starting point. And then I'm very curious to listen from all of you and the stakeholders about this case study that is, if enough, particular, especially because it's a very well-known monument. Normally, we try to support less evident monument. But let's go with my presentation. I hope that I will be able to share the screen. Okay, it's perfect. Okay. Why it doesn't start fast? Okay, ready. So this is a summary of the presentation. I will be, I hope, very, very synthetic and short. Normally on webinar, without the visual interaction with the others, so we are very, very short. So first, what we speak about. We are speaking about the underground built heritage. So there are cultural and religion space for housing, mining activities, food production and storage, natural resources distributions, and infrastructure. We also provide, we started as a network to provide the definition. So we are speaking about the three types of building activities: architectural, urban, and landscape heritage, below the surface of the earth. So anything that has been more or less caved or must be considered as underground built heritage in the case that the contemporary generation resolve that place, that type of building has cultural value. So And here we define already that there is a sort of evaluation of this heritage that is based on community, world community or smaller community. And the community, I think, is at the center of our concept of action. So it's not top-down action on for preservation or conservation or valorization of the site, but is a bottom-up action with the community. Sometimes the community has not this kind of understanding that has the power or it really exists in the negotiation or in the valorization of this asset, of this resource. And sometimes also we don't know what is the community behind all this. So sometimes, in many cases, we have to discover the community behind. And that is, I think, one of the most challenging resources that we have in this action that started on May 2019 and should finish April 2023. So we have time, and it's composed by 32 countries, one neighbor country, and one international partner country, that is Mexico, and is organized. I will show you later how it's organized, the action. So, as I told you, the challenge is to promote underground built heritage as a resource available, but first is a resource to support the creation or the valorization of a local community. So we are not going to support the places, empty places without people. We are not going to look at the heritage as it is as a world community. Let's say this global community, just like UNESCO, ICOMOS, and so on. So there is the sixth. We work on this kind of balance between international and local. So we establish a network to interact with local communities or to support the discovery of local communities. We want to disseminate innovative thinking and support them to explore alternative social trajectories. So it's a sort of innovation, social innovation action. The action works in this way. So it seems very complicated, this scheme, but I will fast explain you. It's based on 5 working groups. As one working group that deals with the preparing surveys, data sets, works on the classification of underground built heritage, and select the case studies and setting up the knowledge base. And then we have a working group that works on technology behind the conservation of monitoring, any IC tools for interacting with local communities or delivering knowledge. Then there is a working group so it deals with the tools. The working group 3, working group 3 deals with the results, with the strategies. So it works on tourism, creativity, entrepreneurship, social innovation. And we work on regeneration strategies too. And then there is a working group 4 that is about planning. So it works on the process. So planning tools, also how to support the empowerment of communities in the case of different kind of activities, for example, urban activities or rural. We have different kind of planning approaches. And then we have a working group 5 that is a working group 5 that defines the communication and dissemination strategies for this underground built heritage. All these groups, they produce materials that are necessary for running every year 4 case studies. They are here with local teams and local stakeholders, and we support them to develop specific innovative actions that we call living labs. And these actions are, let's say, a sort of niche of activities. So they have to deal with real problems and we work in real world, but supported by all the expert community. That's why it's lab. All these stories, then they became material for training, and they are discussed in theoretical and practical way in a training school every year. At the end of this path, we should arrive to have a collective learning with an handbook, with materials, and also with a clarification of the case studies. So this year, the case studies are 4, as I told you. One of these case studies is the Ayia Napa monastery. So we support these 4 case studies with a short-term scientific mission, so a small team of people that between local and external experts, we deal with, let's say, learning about the resource, so it's in this case the monastery, learning about the community, the stakeholders, mapping the stakeholders, supporting them in a process that I told you we call living lab, but we could also call in different way, transition experiment, anything. So we work transitioning people from individual approach or a stakeholder approach to a community approach. So sharing, collaborate, partnering for the management or co-management of this important resource. So at the end, the target is to make possible the conservation of this resource and creating a specific identity, sense of belonging of people in a sort of communitary way of this resource. So we encourage this kind of new forms of cooperation between key actors to develop a more favorable environment for culture, talent, entrepreneurship, creativity, and innovation. We already define a number of steps. So we have a preparatory phase that normally is based on phase 1, that is to study, analyze the selected topic. So creating knowledge base and developing local culture on this resource. So historical framework, ecological framework, social analysis, territorial regulatory framework, and legal framework. As you say, basically it's 2 months of work. The second phase, we are going to look at the stakeholders. We try to understand sometimes in B2B who are the institutional stakeholders, the not institutional ones, and the other stakeholders. We define a number of interviews. They can be run, in this case, in remote or face-to-face. And then we have the startup phase. Once we have more or less defined the context, the resource, the actors, so we start defining the goals. And defining the goals also means that we are starting to understanding, let's say, the problems, make a definition of the problems, not by ourselves as a network or the local institution, but a common definition of the problems with the stakeholders, with the potential community behind. So we start organizing a partnership. We start to share the problems. We can start to understand each other about objectives and aims, and we define a governance procedures. And then we start to see which are the not represented stakeholders, the community that is hidden, and we organize meetings and activities. And then we go to the operational phase. So we are going to deepen knowledge. So we start linking underground built heritage to local identity and to the global community. So with, for example, meetings on specific topics, on specific problems with experts. And so classification underground built heritage, narratives, local narratives, all are written, and comparison with similar cases. So we start understanding what exists on specific stories and what we can do. So then we go to also define tools, technologies that could support our, let's say, goal and objectives. And so technological topic define and analyze, expert network knowledge, and other comparisons. So we have to provide technical support and stipulating also local creativity on specific technological problems. And then we are going to see the financial side of the story in order that we are able to make sustainable this, let's say, community empowerment. We have to define economic, let's say, balance strategies. And so business and management models for public-private built heritage, definition of the context, selection of the models, and alternatives. So we support that the partnership is sustainable. And after this is only a work at the moment of structuring and constructing, for example, a strategy. We start to have a reflexive phase. Then is a story time. A story for us is we tell the story of this living lab. We start to reflect on these with also collecting materials, videos, producing events and activities resources. So we are going to develop a sense of belonging inside the community with sharing information, with disseminating them. So if we do something, it must be clear that it exists and is known at local level in particular, and then we can deliver also the message at a larger and higher level. Finally, Living Lab evaluation and learning, that also is done by the short-term scientific mission of the Oslo institution. So question, evaluation, standardization of the evaluation. And then we provide training school materials and research inside the training school reports. So at the end of the process, or during the process sometimes, we create this kind of reflective moment that then can bring again another operational moment. So it doesn't stop the activity with a short time period inside the training school, but at local level, it can continue. It's sort of real experience. And you see the training school. So the focal point of the training school is real practice. So it's the real case. And inside the training school, let's say trainees, not always young, but for sure motivated, try to have a collective learning process and interact with trainers, with lecturers, in order to build, let's say, new academic and professional capacity. So we try to have also this approach that is multidisciplinary, but not for the academics, but for the communities. So the first training school was held in Naples last February 10-15, just before COVID. And we saw the participation of 30 trainees and let's say 25 trainers from 12 countries. The second one, we hope to hold in presence again in Murcia from May 24-28 next year, with presentation also on this case study. So the call for application will come soon and will be open to everybody that has interest to have this kind of experience. Mia was one of our first trainees, so she can tell you much more about the experience than me, that I was only the chair. And at the end, our idea is to create a bigger network made by local communities, by academics, by professionals, by citizens, that is able to raise the community awareness on this potential to make local communities more resilient for catalyzing these urban and rural regeneration activities, attracting a certain kind of tourism, changing, let's say, the culture of the tourism, because it's a tourism connected to the communities, to engender economic development and creating, at the end, in the community's social well-being. So if the target is the sustainability of the community, the means is the conservation of the heritage. And this is a social innovation. that we would like to achieve with you in this case. And our action now, it's really your friend. We want to support you until the end of any process that you would like to engage. And thank you for this opportunity. I'm sorry that I cannot participate in presence, we cannot meet in person. That is much more interesting in terms of starting analyzing problems. But anyway, it's a temporary situation, and we are dealing with, I hope, in the best way. And still, again, thanks to Sorin and to Mio for this challenge. Thank you. Well, I have to give back.
Thank you very much, Giuseppe, for this overview about the Coast Action Project and for focusing on which are the main goals of the action, that is not only to get better knowledge about the underground built heritage, but it's mainly to help the local communities to valorize and to create economic opportunities around this heritage. So now I see that in the meanwhile also the mayor of Ayia Napa is here. Good morning and welcome. And I will leave the floor to Nicolas Bakirtzis, my colleague, that is a Starcy Associate Professor, and will give us an overview about cultural heritage research at the Cyprus Institute and the impact of pandemic.
Thank you, Mia. Good morning, everybody. On behalf of the Cyprus Institute, I'm particularly happy to welcome everybody on this webinar organized in the context of the Coast Action Project Underground for Value, Underground Built Heritage as Catalyzer for Community Valorization. We just heard from Dr. Pace about the project. As you heard, I'm Nicolas Bakirtzis, and I also want to acknowledge here, you heard also the effort of the contribution of my colleagues Sorin Hermon and Mia Trentini in making this possible. We are truly disappointed, of course, that our original plans to host the physical meeting and to introduce participants to the intricate cultural legacy of the important cult site of the monastery of Ayia Napa, which evolves around its underground cave church, had to be cancelled due to the pandemic that is ravaging the globe. Today's webinar is no substitute for the real thing, but it's a necessary step in the project and at least an effort to underscore the site's value and importance for the valorization of heritage and the role of local communities explored in our Coast Action initiative. I know that one of the characteristics of online meetings, which are now our new norm, is that there are limitations to the attention one can give to them. So being one of the first to speak, I will try to be brief as I locate our participation in the project within the framework of the Cyprus Institute, the Science and Technology in Archaeology and Culture Research Center, and the Andreas Pittas Characterization Laboratories. I will also briefly address our collaborative initiative to respond to the challenges of cultural heritage research in the post-coronavirus world, and in particular, the need to rethink the valorization of Cypriot heritage. The Underground for Value Coast Action and our Ayia Napa case study are a perfect fit for this initiative. So I will share my screen now. Okay. Okay. So briefly about the Cyprus Institute, which is growing as an international science and technology institution around the following key priorities to help transform the economy of Cyprus to a knowledge and innovation-based economy, create a European research hub for the Eastern Mediterranean region, and also use science and technology for the public benefit of Cyprus and regional advancement for peace and prosperity. To realize its vision, the institution, the Cyprus Institute, is developing pioneering research infrastructures and programs involving cutting-edge technologies that want to address problems of local and regional significance, but of international interest and value. So as such, our institute is organized, and I'm showing you here, around for the time being, 4 research centers. And it's the ideal for niche areas of research: energy, environment, and water, computation-based science and technology, climate and atmosphere research center, and science and technology in archaeology and culture, also known as STARC, which is the center that essentially is participating in the present construction project. In addition, we also have a graduate school, which runs right now 3 PhD and 3 MSc accredited programs in areas related to the research centers I mentioned before. So now, focusing on the Science and Technology in Archaeology and Culture Research Center and the agenda, which we see as the meeting points, as the interdisciplinary meeting points of various more traditional areas of research. So STARC contributes to the study of archaeology and cultural heritage through the development of broad research inquiries that foster cross-disciplinary collaborations between, as I mentioned, the humanities and the social sciences, the natural, material, and computational sciences. And in this context, STARC is dedicated to the advancement of new methodological approaches that can utilize scientific and technological applications in a meaningful and scholarly way. There are various areas where our research is converging. I'm naming the main ones: digital cultural heritage, archaeological sciences, built heritage and cultural landscapes, and bioarchaeology. Of course, we achieve all this through a network of close collaborations, and I want to highlight here our close collaboration with the Cyprus Department of Antiquities. So following the development, one key infrastructure that essentially put us on the ground was a major project called StarLab, which provided us with the necessary infrastructure for documentation, survey, and also visualization and the study of both materials, but also archaeological sciences, archaeological sites and monuments. So following that successful project, and you see here the mobile unit of StarLab, 2 major grants solidified our research capacity. The first was by the A.G. Levendis Foundation, that has established the Levendis Chair in Archaeological Sciences, held by Professor Thilo Reren, who is also the director of STARC. And the second, by Dr. Andreas Pitas, supports the creation of art characterization laboratories to pursue interdisciplinary study and analysis of works of art and archaeological material. The data management infrastructure of the OPTRA, the Edme Levendis Digital Library for Cypriot Culture, provides an optimal system to sustain not only the dissemination of our work, but also the organization of our ever-expanding data in the broader area of cultural heritage. Among several areas of activity, as you can imagine, heritage at risk has emerged as a key focus, whether addressing the major problems of looting and illicit trafficking of antiquities, the destruction of archaeological sites because of war, or meeting the challenges posed by climate change. I'm sure you're all pretty familiar with the images I'm sharing with you. We've been collaborating closely with key partners like the Department of Antiquities, the Cyprus Police, or at the regional level, we have been leading an effort to tackle the present threat of climate change to our cultural heritage. And an array of successful research projects support our work, but it is certainly an uphill battle to meet the moment. In this context, the current pandemic has added an unexpected burden. Cultural heritage has not and will not escape the implications of COVID-19 at both the economic and the societal level. Quickly, I just want to, I skipped over an image, and this is just to show you some of the work we've done with looted sites in Cyprus. This is the Church of Christ Antiphonitis, looted, stripped of its world-class wall paintings, and this is an effort to digitally reconstruct the missing parts of this very important church. So back to the challenges of heritage in this COVID era, and this is something that is certainly related to the issue of the importance of the valorization of heritage that is pursued in this cost action, Ayia Napa primary examples. A primary example. Over the past months and in the context of a Cyprus Institute effort, and this is like our first related activity, our group has been trying to define the challenge. What will be the place of cultural heritage in society following in the post-coronavirus world? What will be its role and meaning for our daily life? And what will be its contribution to economic growth? Preliminary evidence foresees major challenges in all aspects of social and economic life, and the valorization of heritage sites like Ayia Napa can contribute as a catalyst for economic growth, but also social cohesion. And as such, cultural heritage can be a pillar for socioeconomic resilience in both Cyprus and the region. Of central significance is the need to rethink the ways cultural heritage research can enhance heritage valorization and to address the challenge in its economic and societal dimensions. And what I'm really excited about today's meeting is to have cultural heritage research responding directly to the needs of stakeholders. We will hear from them later on, towards strengthening the role of heritage as a connecting tissue for social resiliency and sustainable economic growth. The role of the local communities and their direct engagement and participation is of key significance, and I'm thrilled that this is a central focus of the cost action. Needless to say that the crisis has accelerated the role of digital technologies in all aspects of life, and especially in the way we communicate and exchange knowledge with each other. Consequently, we have no other choice but to embrace the continuing expansion of the importance of digital technologies in the way we experience, learn about, and valorize cultural heritage. And overall, I would say that interdisciplinarity is key here, and I will end with a slide that shows aspects of our work in the study of monuments like the one of Ayia Napa. In particular, I'm showing images from a recent study of the Troodos churches. It's the same approach we are employing in our engagement in the study of the monastery of Ayia Napa, whether it has to do with digital documentation, dendrochronology, the study of graffiti. You see Mia there completely focused on one of these remains of the walls of the churches in Galata, and the analysis of wall paintings. And again, I look forward also having the opportunity to essentially frame the new knowledge we gain from interdisciplinary research work, framed with the needs and the necessities of local communities, and as we will hear from local cultural heritage stakeholders in Ayia Napa. That's all from me. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Nicolas, for this overview and for underlying how the cost action is giving us the opportunity to make our research more relevant from community point of view, in order to place together this pandemic and to try to recreate a new and resilient economy around the cultural heritage. The next presentation is again from a colleague, Sorin Ermon, and he's an associate professor as well at the Cyprus Institute Star C, and he will talk about digital technologies for the study, conservation, and valorization of heritage sites. So from a more specific point of view, focusing on the digital technologies. Thank you very much, Sorin. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mia. I hope you can see my screen. I shared it with you. So here is the title of the webinar and the title of my talk about digital technologies for the study, conservation, and valorization of heritage sites. I would like to start, first of all, with the acknowledgements, because this webinar and also the project and the wider activities of our group rely on various partners. And here I mentioned the ones that are directly related to the Ayia Napa project. So the three subjects that I was asked to discuss are study, conservation, and valorization. So without further ado, I will move to the study one. And I put up here a conversation that was written more than 2,400 years ago by Plato, and it's an imaginary dialogue between Socrates and Phaedrus, where they discuss a meeting between Theot, who was the ancient god of Egypt and presumably the inventor of letters, and Tammuz, who was another ancient god of Egypt, but the ruler of it at that time. And as you can see, Theot is praising his invention, that he believes that it will make people wiser, but Tammuz is very afraid of it and says that this invention will harm people and not make them more intelligent. And clearly, for me, this is a message also for the future. It's also very relevant to us today. And if you just change, actually here it's the letters and the alphabet is not mentioned at all. And if you read it, you can very easily connect to digital technologies as well. So what are the challenges in research regarding the digital cultural heritage? I put here three concepts, but of course there are many more. It's just that looking at the past 20 or 30 years of history of applications of digital methods, tools, and technologies in cultural heritage, I thought these are aspects that need still development, and there's also a lot of potential for the digital technologies to highlight research in cultural heritage. So the first one deals with seeing how actually we know what we know about the past. So this deals with modeling our reasoning process. There are methods of setting up infrastructures where we can provide information about our inferences methods, the logical sequence of them, and overall which data we are using when we are trying to formalize some knowledge. The other aspect related to this topic regards how we semantically express, but also visualize and also interact with the digital means and digital data. Then the development of methods, techniques, and methodologies themselves, where the digital tools should be seen as cognitive technologies, meaning that any kind of technology that help us working better, doing better things. And I put in particular two aspects of these, and one regards the 3D. We're living in a 3D world, and as such also our research should be situated there. For me, it's always difficult to understand why, for example, archaeologists are using a 2D map, which is a very narrow representation of the reality, when they can work in 3D. And once we are already in 3D, we can add also the fourth dimension, which is time, and then we really can set up very large scale and very precise environments for research, also in a diachronic perspective. Then another big challenge regards data, big data, and the need for opening such data for further reuse. The European Commission is investing tremendous amounts of money in convincing researchers and providing the infrastructures needed for such opening of data. And one of the challenges in our domain is to have cultural heritage a data-driven discipline, where then we can apply various methods of data sciences, such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, and so forth. Finally, at the last stage, which has, I believe, a particular interest in our webinar today, regards the democratization of knowledge, and which actually is a social transformation. So we should look into how digital technologies help providing more meaningful access and understanding of the cultural heritage, and to have museum narratives which are based on the user, on the content, or the context of such narratives. So, summing up, some fundamental requirements in terms of study, in terms of research, we should look at the digital cultural heritage as an ecosystem where we have several stakeholders or groups of interest. It's the academia, it's the research itself, the public administration, the citizens, and, oops, sorry, I put twice the public administration. Actually, here it should be the private sector. Let me just correct it in real time. Okay. So so any kind of research that we are doing ideally should address all these four sectors, and in this way we can be sure that what we do is meaningful. It has a meaning, and this meaning can be applied to the various sectors of a society. So the data that we are producing, the research that we are producing, should be open as much as possible and shared. And here I would like to mention IRIS, the European Research Infrastructure on Heritage Science, and its DigiLab component. We should be very careful and invest research in defining how we do our research and formalize this how itself through protocols, procedures, and agreed upon policies. Of course, there is a tendency in research and the academia to conduct basic research or research only for the sake of research, but actually, in our case here, applied research is also very important, and we should find the balance between the two. Then further investment should be done in data integration and interoperability. Archaeology and cultural heritage are by definition multidisciplinary domains. And as such, also data should be integrated in order to have meaningful research results. And here the Ariadne Plus project infrastructure is of high relevance. Then, as also mentioned, we should consider the needs of all sectors involved. In terms of conservation, Nicholas also mentioned earlier the heritage at risk. We should try to find as much as possible, identify the various agents. Nicholas mentioned climate change as an agent. Human agents are also acting a lot in this domain. Deforestation, development, and so forth are all aspects of that have an impact on the heritage. And our role is to try to understand how this impact occurs and also provide means to diminish it as much as possible. So also here, when we are looking at the conservation ecosystem, we are looking on how objects were made, their production methods and techniques, providing research in a multi-sensor environment and multidisciplinary environment. In APAC labs, you heard, conduct such research. and also see how the environment itself, the indoor and outdoor, affects the heritage exhibited, and provide methods of monitoring this environment. So, for example, one of the issues that came out also recently in a discussion in IRIS was how to set up an observatory platform and create this decision support system, tools and methods for the conservation and preservation of heritage. And finally, another important aspect is to have access to reference collections and archives, and here the IRIS archive is of particular relevance. Moving now to the last aspect of it, which regards valorization. The digital, we are living the digital transformations, but sometimes we kind of neglect or forget how what we see is not really understood in the same way by other people. And for example, here is a typical example where the little kid does not know anything about the tablets of Moses, but knows about the tablet. So this is also a nice example of the importance of vocabularies and thesauri, which are domain specific. So in terms of valorization, again, the digital technologies apply both to museological aspects, but also museographic aspects. So the location of digital technologies is also important, not only how to do them. So when we discuss digital technologies in museums, we have curators, we have visitors, we have the creative industries, and the academia that both should work together and in tandem as much as possible. And when we are thinking about digital applications, here are some concepts that are worth keeping in mind about. If we are creating a storytelling, as much as possible, they should be interactive and participatory. A few years ago, we finished a very successful European-funded project called Gravitate, which highlighted the importance of cross-museums collaborations, bringing digitally together collections, and creating joint exhibitions. Any kind of digital application in museum should consider as much as possible the visitors themselves and their profiles and their knowledge and their backgrounds, and also their needs in terms of edutainment, which for those who don't know, it's a nice integration of education and entertainment. Then again, such digital applications should think in terms of co-creation, meaning that visitors should be able to add their stories, add their aspects, add their knowledge. In this way, they are also more participating, they are more engaged, and they also have a feeling of commitment and belonging. Very importantly, such applications should consider also the inclusiveness aspect and think about people with problems of hearing, viewing, or access. And then, because we're in the digital world, recontextualization is very important. Very often museums hold objects that were once in, for sure, all of them, were in totally different environments, and as much as possible try to recreate such environments, but also perform reenactment, meaning to tell stories how these objects were created, how they were used, and how eventually they were also discarded as well. So thinking again in terms of the ecosystem, a responsive virtual museum should work on the preservation of the objects themselves. So we're coming back to the conservation and to the study. Having the whole characterization of the object is very important. but also provide the meaning of a concept of trust. So the research that is done should be trustful, and what you are exhibited, visitors should trust that what they see is of high quality. Then community ownership, as the Holocaust action that you heard about is built on. Museums are situated within a community, within a social environment, within a cultural environment. Bringing in the community is of mutual benefit. Very often, very often collections of museums are fragmentary, and each museum holds some pieces from a once single collection. The digital enables interlinking between such connections, enables creating joint virtual exhibitions, and we should make advantage of that as much as possible. Then, if we want to assure participation, a more rich experience in museum with results in terms of education as well, we should try as much as possible to have technologies being immersive and interactive, meaning that the visitors are not only presented with what the curator had decided to show, but also choose their own path, their own rhythm of explanations, and their levels of explanation and the subjects of these explanations. Then we should consider accessibility and exploratory tools as of major importance. The digital applications that we do should have a meaning to somebody. So they should look very carefully on who are the visitors, what do they want to know, what are their levels of understanding, for example, regarding language, regarding socioeconomic backgrounds, and so forth. So finally, I put some concluding remarks here. Digital technologies enable almost anything and can virtually materialize almost everything. And it is up to the digital curator to explore and fully benefit from the social, cognitive, and cultural aspects and space of virtual museums. And if you dare to dream, we'll make it happen. So thank you very much.
So, thank you, Sorin, for your contribution, for your presentation. And with you, it ends this first part where I'm very happy of what were presented, because I can see how the research and documentation for heritage preservation and knowledge done by the STARC at the Cyprus Institute with the support of the digital technologies for dissemination and also for fostering the democratization of knowledge, as you were saying, perfectly matches with the general approach of the Cost Action Project, which is a big opportunity for us to make a step forward towards the community involvement and the heritage preservation, creating, putting back the heritage at the center of the value of different local communities, and to help them to rethink about their cultural and historical heritage as a way to recover not only their history and local tradition, but also to create new models, more sustainable and resilient for what is happening now, for example, for the pandemic and the economic crisis. Now I know that I was supposed to give a brief introduction to the site, but I will ask the mayor of Ayia Napa if he wants to tell us because I know he's very busy this morning, and I would like to have his contribution, his opinion. Basically, in this second part of the webinar, we will talk with the four main stakeholders involved in the project that are the Bishopric of Constantine and Famagosta, the Department of Antiquities, the municipality of Ayia Napa, and the musealization team that is in charge of the project of revalorization of the site and musealization. Mr. Zanetto, if you want to talk now about your perspective about the city of Ayia Napa, so what is Ayia Napa from your point of view, and how the monastery is seen by the community, and how you think can be the role of the monastery for facing the current challenges, such as the economic crisis, or after the pandemic. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Yeah, first, I would like to say hi to everybody. I apologize that I am a little bit in a rush because, unfortunately, last week we had a few positive people on the COVID-19, and I'm also in the working from home now, and I have to answer all the phones because we closed down the municipality probably for the next 14 days. First, I want to say that I would like to express my sincere thanks for everybody who spoke before. I'm sure that is very scientific what they have been presented. For us, and especially for me as a mayor, Ayia Napa means a lot as a town, as a city, as a destination. Ayia Napa, everybody knows that, started from a small village, and now we came to the point that is the first tourist destination in Cyprus. I'm sure that what is going on in the monastery with all the renovation, all the reconstruction works there, which actually is handled that by my technical department, and I have to say that the person responsible is very serious in the hospital, Mr. Athos, for everybody who knows, because of the COVID-19. I didn't have the chance to go through with him to see exactly what is going on the last period with the works there. But as I said, Ayia Napa means a lot, and the monastery is related with the history of Ayia Napa, as this the cave, the church there is the first which found, and is related to the history, and what is happening means a lot. First, the new structure and the new concept of the monastery will help to the education, will help to the promotion of the history, and not only, but also to the quality and the heritage of the destination. As municipality, we will support, we will do our best to bring this vision of the Metropolitan Vasilios to the end, because we believe that also with the cooperation with the different institutions for postgraduate diplomas will help and will put also Ayia Napa as a destination to another map. For sure, is also very important for the economic and touristic potential issues, because we will, again, as I said before, we will attract a different market segmentation, and not only, we will put the whole Ayia Napa on a new map, which is not only for entertainment, it's not only for the sea, it's not only for the beach, but that is related to the history, is related to the education, to the culture, and not only. All this I have to say, and anything I can be asked for, any inquiries on any questions, I am at your disposal. As municipality, we will continue to do our best to support such infrastructures which upgrade destination as a whole, and not only, because such projects for sure cause the the attention, not only, but also for the young people to be involved and to get rid for any undesirable situations which we don't want. And this for sure will help us a lot after the whole project will be completed to establish Ayia Napa more attractive and more interest, and not only for Cyprus, but I believe worldwide and especially in Central Europe.
So thank you very much for thank you for your sharing with us your thought, your point of view concerning the place, the people, and the historical site you have that is actually one within many others. And we are very happy that you are willing to work on your cultural heritage that is still underestimated for the area, and will for sure be one of the points that will help to face and to this pandemic, and moreover to enhance the new models for your area.
Thanks, Mian. I wish every success to everybody for the plans you have ahead to implement.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I hope you will be able to stay with us for a while. But anyway, we will keep in touch, and we will hopefully meet soon, if not in person, again.
Thank you.
So thank you. Now, I would like just to give a short overview about the site and the area that was supposed before the mayor. So I will share my screen just for whom of you. Okay. So just a recap of information about the site. An introduction, Ayia Napa and its landscape, the tourism system, that is one of the main aspects we have to consider for this area, the pandemic crisis, and the challenge to recover the underground built heritage of the area. So the village of Ayia Napa is located on the southeast coast of Cyprus. It was a rural village along the coast on a fertile plain rich in iron, with a characteristic red soils that gave the name of Kinophoria, meaning red villages, to the area. From the sat photos, you can actually see that is more red, this area. So here you see two pictures of Ayia Napa, one dating back to the 60s and one very recent. And from here you can see how the landscape changed. And it changed mainly, as we will see later on, after the 1974, when the Turkish invasion created a movement of the local population going south, and many of the refugees from the northern part of the island settled down along the coast, and also in Ayia Napa, and starting developing what we see, the city we see today. The landscape of Ayia Napa, the area is characterized by high cliff waning toward the sea, with suggestive sandy beaches, and all the region lays on a limestone bedrock, which was exploited from the Neolithic period, first as both for the extraction of building materials, as well as to create functional spaces. Here you see the site, some picture from the site of Macronissos. There was quarries and a funerary complex, underground complex. So the natural and anthropic underground spaces shaped the local landscape and history, with the medieval monastery of Ayia Napa representing the prominent examples. As far as concern the specific cost action, these case studies join together both the urban and religious context. So it's very interesting to work on it from this point of view and to try to find a balance between these two aspects. The monastery that constitutes the core of the rural village is now lost within and under a multitude of bars and nightclubs. For the who of you that knows the area, this is how Ayia Napa developed, mainly from the 80s, and here is the location of the monastery. The original calcite formed in a natural rock cave with a spring source, and which was integrated into a church later on, around 12th centuries, during the Lusignan and Venetian period. Later on, also another part was added that constitute the structure of the monastery that is still visible, and where the plan of musealization foreseen the creation of the Museum of Ayia Napa. So here you see a model of the church, photogrammetric model. I would like to thank Theo Lerle, working with the musealization team, for providing me this picture. And you see that this is the original part, the natural cave in the rocks, and then the church developed with a building structure that moved from the natural rock outside to reach this part that is the facades, and it is articulated here. So this is the natural cave, and we have these two parts. This, that is the present entrance, and what is called the Latin chapel on this side. So from 2009, started a plan for the restoration, musealization, and valorization of the site on the initiative of the Bishop of Constantine Famagosta, in collaboration with the Department of Antiquities, the Municipality of Ayia Napa, and the support and the work of the musealization team led by Professor Schrader from the Free University of Berlin. The goal is to recover the spiritual, social, cultural, and historical role of the monastery within the city and its broader area. What is one of the main issues that, the main challenge, I would say, that this operation about the valorization of the monastery will face is the mass tourism interesting Ayia Napa. As we were saying, after the 1974, Ayia Napa gradually developed a tourism model based on night clubbing and beach as the back then very common model of the resort, tourist resort. This model was economically successful along the last decades, and in reaching in 2017 175 hosting facilities You can see the number here, 27,000 person bed capacity, hosting around 700,000 tourists. While the residents of Ayia Napa, as for the 2011 census, are 3,000, a little bit more than 3,000 units. So you can see how imbalanced is the flux of tourism related with the local population. And then the pandemic crisis arrived. This year, on the island of Cyprus, overall, they estimated a loss of 98%, and Ayia Napa is interested with a loss of 90% of the incoming tourism. That, of course, reflects on the economy, critically reflects on the economy of the area. But there's also a, let's say, a positive aspect in all of that. The opportunity to rethink the tourism as a system for a more sustainable and resilient future. I'm sorry. Because issues of over-tourism were already been noticed, and the crisis showed that the old model cannot be implemented and go on anymore. So the crisis hopefully will also offer the possibility of for the intervention to address the structural problems of the sector, avoiding the return to issues of over-tourism, and being also helping the development of new models based on the community needs, the real community needs, and not only on the touristic development. So the main challenge that the Cyprus case study within the cost action project will consider will be to recover the underground heritage of all the area, because as you will hear from also later on, the Ayia Napa monastery cave church is not only the only underground built heritage of the area. The area is actually very rich in this kind of structures and sites. So recovering the underground heritage while continuing to develop, encouraging new tourism models, promoting sustainable cultural and creative tourism, so with an inclusion of the local population and models that are focused on the local population contribution, and the underground built heritage regeneration and valorization that will promote a sustainable and resilient socioeconomic development at the service of the community and to a broader public of locals and international public. So this was my short introduction, and now I will leave the podium. I am not sure if, yeah, I was checking the, okay, yeah, I was not seeing the Department of Antiquities. So I would like to give the floor, if it's fine with them, to the director, Marina Solomidou Hieronimidou. Thank you. Saying thank you, good morning, and I will give you the floor so you can as well give us your point of view and point of view of the Department of Antiquities about the work we are doing on Napa, also. Yeah, the monastery.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Can you hear? Good morning to everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So firstly, I would like to thank the organizers for the invitation to participate in this webinar and in this project. And I believe that such initiatives in the field of cultural heritage provide the necessary opportunity for a dynamic exchange of ideas, leading to the incorporation of sites and monuments into the economic model of sustainable development. The cultural heritage of Cyprus is in its larger part represented by the unique and very rich archaeological heritage of the island, which extends in a very wide temporal and spatial spectrum, i.e. it is encountered across the island from prehistory to almost modern times. Thus, as per the Antiquities Law, Cap 31, our cultural heritage is predominantly managed, controlled, protected, preserved, and promoted by the Department of Antiquities of the Ministry of Transport, Communications, and Works. The upgrading of archaeological sites, monuments, and museums is a key policy priority for us, so as to increase visitation and enhance visitor experience. This priority relates to the role of cultural heritage in the development of cultural tourism and therefore its contribution to the Republic of Cyprus for sustainable growth. It involves the creation and implementation of management plans for archaeological sites and museological studies for museums, encompassing measures relating to the infrastructure, interpretation, and presentation of cultural heritage. Museums are distinguished into archaeological, folk art museums, and ethnographic ones. So, if we go back now specifically to the monastery, the Department of Antiquities, realizing its archaeological and historical importance, and seeing the need to protect it, has listed the monastery of Ayia Napa as an ancient monument of Ishejju, as early as 1935, that is, as from the creation of the Antiquities Law. For this exact reason, the first restoration works at the monastery started by the Department of Antiquities in 1943-44, followed by a decade of constant work between the 60s and 70s. In 2007, between 2007 and 2008, further works were carried out, and the restoration of the Venetian aqueduct, directly related to the monastery, was the focus of an Interreg program which was funded by the EU. Recognizing the need to enrich the experience of its visitors and to underline the town's long history, the municipality of Ayia Napa, in collaboration with the Department of Antiquities and the Bishop of Constantinople has initiated, as it is already said, in 2019, the project of the reconstruction and refurbishment of the medieval monastery and its conversion into a museum. Through its involvement in this project, the Department of Antiquities has launched an extensive restoration program for the monument, as well as a rescue excavation. The effort has already shed new light on the monument's history and development throughout the centuries. The monastery itself and its subterranean church have intrigued travelers and researchers alike for more than 600 years. It is an outstanding landmark on the top of the rocky hill, overlooking the bay that before the present development would have definitely made from the distance and impact on its visitors. Fortunately, not anymore. The underground chapter must have been built as early as the Communion era, possibly to accommodate the liturgical needs of the local elite. The medieval chronicler, Leontios Macheras, mentions the visit of Peter I at Ayia Napa in 366, while the now lost inscription dating to 1530, transcribed by Dumont, refers to the existence of a Latin complex. The coats of arms of the Divinity and the debate families recorded at the monastery definitely point to the strong connection of the site with the Latin court and church, while Lusignan includes the icon of Ayia Napa depicting Saint Mary as one of the holiest on the island. During the 16th and 17th centuries, travelers, pilgrims such as Pefa, de la Valle, and Magruin give detailed accounts of the monastery and its surroundings. Here I would like to pass over the microphone and the screen to my colleague Paulina Christofi, who is the archaeologist who was in charge of the excavations conducted in 2019. So, good morning. The excavations conducted in 2019 mainly focused west of the auxiliary rooms in what is believed to be the courtyard of the monastery. Plans from 1905 show the existence of structures which by the mid-20th century were demolished and covered with soil. Nonetheless, besides expected finds, excavation revealed a pattern set of buildings, one under the other, with some using previous structures as foundations. Due to the limited time of this presentation, I cannot describe in detail each structure or living phase of the excavated remains. What I aim to propose instead is a preliminary timeline of the major changes that occurred on the revealed foundations and their possible implications for the known historical narrative of the monastery. Finds belong to at least 7 distinct architectural phases, as largely connected with the activities taking place at the monastery as auxiliary structures. Phase 1 belongs to the period of the 20th century. Phase 2 seems to correspond with the recorded foundations of the Land and Survey Department of the late 19th, early 20th century, recorded on their 1905 map. What remains of Phase 3 is restricted to the south and excavated to the south of the excavated area. It consists of an Iagos, which most probably dates to the very late 18th, 19th century. The most prominent finding of Phase 4 is Wall 4, which in conjunction with Walls 2 and 7 form trapezoidal rooms. On the floor, an Ottoman coin of the 18th century was found. Therefore, construction date no later than the 18th century should be sought. It seems that continuity can be traced between phases 4 and 3. It is evident that architectural features have been reduced and strengthened during that period. It is during the same architectural phase that structures survived west of the initial complex, pointing to a much more intense use of the site. We date this phase to the late 17th, early 18th century. The construction of additional walls and the expansion of the complex during the 17th century should be considered in relation with the Ottoman conquest and its impact on highlighting the profound role of the Greek Orthodox monastery for the surrounding Greek Orthodox communities. During the 18th to 17th centuries, the monastery is mentioned in the sources for its wealth in agricultural land and the fertility of the acquired land. These mentions can be archaeologically confirmed with the excavation of large storage pits within the site. The initial architectural phase of the complex has been identified as Phase 6. Very little evidence survives from this period that can help identify the use and the extent of the building, except a comparatively larger amount of sgraffito and imported Magnolia wares, which might imply that additional activities to surplus storage were taking place at the site. Through the use of the same ceramic evidence, Phase 6 has been dated to the 16th to 15th centuries. The large number of sherds from imported wares corresponds well with the reconstruction phase of the 2-story domestic unit and its connection with the Venetian elites of the area. The expenditure for the refurbishment of the 2-story building with the elaborate details implies such wealth and abundance that the accumulation of rather large numbers of imported Maiolical wares should be expected. The final phase excavated thus far at the monastery is Phase 7. This space, represented by a small complex found on the southwest side of the site, has no direct connection with the remains found on the upper layers, and it is heavily destroyed by later construction. This very limited number of chairs and Padilla wares could imply an early 15th century dating. Now, if I may, the importance of the new finds for the historical development of the monastery have led to a common understanding between all involved that a new approach to the physiological experience offered to visitors had to be sought, which incorporated the movable and immovable finds. A new architectural study for the creation of pathways between the architectural remains has been financed by the project. The conceptual idea for the design is the introduction of the visitor to the long history of the site, initially through the surviving foundations and then through the standing secular monuments. This experience will then proceed inside the museum's halls, where finds from the excavations will be exhibited. Taking into consideration that due to the unique characteristics of the ancient monument, with the presentation of both movable and immovable antiquities, as well as a rich collection of icons connected with its secular use, the final outcome of the project will be innovative for the wider area. We hope to give back to the community a landmark, a focal point of culture, where the visitors will be able to experience the values of the site as a whole. Undoubtedly, by adopting this approach for the monastery as a museum, archaeological site, standing monument, it can result in an increased interest for cultural tourism, the tourists are seeking something else, an alternative. Our aim is for the Ayia Napa monastery to become a point of interest, thus helping the local authorities, the local community, in promoting for the region an economic model based on cultural and natural tourism and sustainable development. The Department of Antiquities believes that the future of Cyprus can be reformed once development is based on the cultural and natural assets of our island. These features of Cyprus, unique only to our island and our traditions, should be preserved and promoted. Any development, in order to become sustainable and attract visitors so as to create income, should firstly respect our cultural heritage as it comprises the driving force for sustainable growth. Thus, the preservation of the cultural and natural heritage must be supported by all means, as it can become the solid basis needed for such a distinct reform. Thank you all very much for your patience.
Thank you very much, Marina and Paulina, for your contribution and for giving us this this view about the new discoveries concerning the history of the monastery and the structure there. Now we have the last two.
Mia, sorry, there was a problem, a technical problem. I didn't hear anything after I finished what I presented. I will hear you for a few minutes, and unfortunately I have to leave because I have another meeting. Hello, Brigida.
Okay, I'll switch on my telephone. Thank you, Marina. Okay, we will speak.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
With your permission, I have to leave. Paulina will be here. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Hope to discuss the whole thing soon.
Yes.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
taking time to stay with us and to present your contribution. And of course, we will be in touch for the development of the project. So now, since the bishop is not present, we have this video, and I would ask Brigitta, do you prefer we to talk first, and then we can show the video of the bishop, or?
Oh, okay, then perhaps really I would present, because this is a good combination now with what the Department of Antiquities has presented, you has said. So I think this is a good last word then from the bishop, and to summarize in principle also our. I share now. Sorry.
I was trying to introduce you, but
I know, not do it.
She's the leader of the musealization team that was in charge during the last 11 years. 11 I think, years about the works, the preparation of the museum that was not only focused on the musealization part, so on the exposition, but considered as well as the documentation of the sites that was very useful for our knowledge and in order to proceed with the planning of the museum. So Brigitta, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. So I would, okay. Now just find my presentation. Do you see it already? How?
No.
Okay. Do you see my presentation or not?
No.
No. Okay.
Gaia, I think we are still seeing the presentation of the department. They are still sharing their screen.
Okay, because I tried to share my screen, but it's not really functioning.
No, they are not sharing the screen.
No, they're not sharing screen. It's there's a small icon below.
No. I have it, but this I had to click it on, but it does not really work. Share. Okay. No.
Yeah.
Now, okay, fine. Thank you. Okay, thank you for everything, Mia, also for your introduction and for all the presentations. And I would like to thank especially also Nicolas and Paulina and Marina, who has left, for their contributions, because we, as we say in German, we are sitting all in the same boat. So I would like to present you some, let's say, ideas which have led us to in this project, and what we wanted to what we wanted to realize. As Mia has already said, we are present in this project since exactly 11 years. The origin was an invitation by the bishop, who had then, what you have heard from the Department of Antiquities, had the idea to include also some museological ideas from Berlin. So I was with in 2008 with the director of the Institute of Museology of the Berlin Museum in Ayia Napa. And we have seen then, together with him, the future rooms for the museum. And this has then in let's say, in close collaboration already with the Department of Antiquities to think about, let's say, a team of originally non-professionals to include, but with professional advice and in close cooperation with Cypriot specialists to make a proposal for a future exhibition. I am teaching Byzantine art at Freie University, and I have collected a group of students, but not only students, but also already of some ready post students, which were specialized in important fields, so in archaeology, in history, in Byzantine studies and art history, in order to develop ideas for them. For this, they were especially fit because they were nearly all working already as guides in our museums in Berlin. And as you know, we have with this in Berlin, this compound of museums. So they were already, let's say, somehow experienced in looking to a museum with eyes as well as of what they had as studying these fields, but also as visitors and responding and reacting to problems and questions what they had seen and heard from their own tours. In order to realize a close cooperation, we have made 2 workshops in Cyprus, one already in 2011, where we have presented some ideas, asked some questions, and then started to have this by excursions and to see also what is available and what was proposed for this museum. Because the first proposal...
Brigitta, I'm
yes?
sorry.
You do not hear me?
Yes, sorry to interrupt you. I was wondering if you are your presentation is not visible. We can see your screen.
Oh.
Is right?
Oh,
not?
sorry. That I do not know what to do. Because,
okay.
I do not know now. Okay.
No, it's fine. Leave it like that. Just open the presentation.
It's open, but I
Try
cannot. When I open it, you do not see it. But this
No.
I do not understand. Theo, do you have an idea? Because I have moved. I have already now shown several, and you did not see something.
No.
Mm-hmm. And when I open it,
Maybe you're using several screens. If you're using several screens, that you have to bring the PowerPoint on the same screen with the GoToMeetings application.
oh, sorry. Because I did not use the app to when I close this. Okay, I could send it to you, but this is also not.
Okay, you stop the screen
But you
share.
do not see it because I see.
Brigitta, try again. Screen.
Yes.
And then it should say app, applications app.
No, it does not say. It says okay. The windows, what I should use, but I had the whole screen clicked on. But okay.
Are you using only one screen?
I try now to, because I have only my the screen what I use with you, and it's okay, somehow not reacting, because I never use this system. I have normally Zoom or WebEx.
Okay. We were able to see your screen, so
because when I have no. Okay.
Okay.
You
You're seeing the
do you
folder.
see it now?
Okay. If it's open.
Do you see it now?
We see the file, but is
because I have now opened it once more from my files.
okay. So
But
try.
But you do not see the presentation, or?
No, we see. No.
It's not good.
Okay, shall I suggest, shall we play the video and maybe you can send either to me or to...
then I send it to you or to Theo.
To Theo the presentation, so we can then stream the presentation while you're talking. Okay?
Okay, okay. Then
since we are running a little bit late, I will ask Angelos, our colleague, to stream the video of the bishop. That is 10 minutes.
Okay. Then so, until then, I have managed.
For you to send it to me.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. We are live. This is it, right? So, Angelos, if you can please stream the video. Angelos? Okay, thank you. Yeah, of course. So in the meanwhile, I was telling you we are running a little bit late, so but we have the last three presentation. So the one from the bishop, and that will be streamed in a while, and then Brigitta and Lola Vico. That is that within the COST project will held the short-term scientific mission in Cyprus for the monastery of Ayia Napa. So she's connected with the Coast Action Project, and she will more specifically then present us what we will do practically inside here in Cyprus. She was supposed to be here with us today, but for the whole month of November, but the pandemic did not allow it. But we had the good news, actually last Friday, during the Cost Action Murcia General Meeting, that the actions for 2020 will be extended until October, so we will have the possibility to be more flexible with her visit and with the work we will do here, thanks to her support and expertise within the community of Ayia Napa and the different stakeholders. Apparently, we are having some issues also with the video. Any news? Okay. So Giuseppe, would you like to, in the meanwhile, to share with us some consideration about what you are seeing? Because it's the first time you get in touch so much with the context, with the site. I don't think you had the opportunity to visit Ayia Napa.
Okay, many years ago, and so I have very, very blurring remembering of the monastery, but I was there. But I think it was 1998, something like that.
A while ago.
Yeah, right. So
time to come back.
It's time to come back, and also I think it's very interesting that a real project is already running since more than 10 years. So what we can as a sort of facilitators is the community creation, I think, around this resource. And it will be very interesting to organize interviews with citizens, with other kind of, let's say, groups, also not only tourism, but also other kind of activities not directly involved in the museum. I don't know also the connection with schools, with all other cultural resources, but it will be interesting. I think this kind of project that has already a very strong, let's say, scientific basis would benefit for this becoming much more, let's say, citizen-oriented.
Definitely.
Yeah, for the rest, I think there is a lot of work done. I'm sure that, you know, the museum is on the run. The place is well preserved, and if I see the picture of that you sent me, the new pictures, you know, the maintenance is perfect.
Yeah, but despite
very caring about it.
Listening to the last week presentation, I think there will be some technical expertise we will need about humidity issues and monitoring of the cave. So we will keep in mind that we have this opportunity.
That's the benefit, yes.
Yeah,
exactly. You know, you can contact the experts. Basically, it's good that you contact the working group leader, and then we organize a specific workshop on humidity problems or other ones. But once we will have a toolkit, it will be just easier because you can start by yourself.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a long way.
Also with Lola, that the short visit, one of the output of the short visit will be also to create a list and to collect the different issues and different aspects where we can take advantage of the expertise of the different members of the construction to further implement then the knowledge and then aspects related to the preservation and the conservation of the site.
Yes, from the point of view of the action, the fact that Lola knows already Cyprus Institute is knows Cyprus well is not a good point in certain way, because she's just like inside the community in certain way. And you know, somebody that is assessing from outside should have the fascinating first view of the place, more or less, the one that you discover it, and then you're attracted from this experience as it is to less than 1 month, you know. But from the other side, it's very positive because she knows the context. She will be very proactive since the first day.
Yeah.
To be part of the action, part of the case study in particular. So we have to mix both. Maybe just to find, you know, just work much more on the approach of the facilitator, and you know, to do a new job compared to the past. In order that he has the fascinating role of doing something totally new.
Yeah, but it will.
Great.
Okay.
So
I think, okay, we will stop here. So, and see the video.
Good morning to everybody. Welcome to this brief presentation of the monastery of Ayia Napa, where we developed the project for the installation of the Museum of Ayia Napa, but with many other activities. Now we are standing in the position, let's say, now.
Connected. Am I? Okay. I do not, I hear you. I speak and see now that my micro is again switched on. And my camera too. At least for me. I do not know.
Angelos, we were just seeing we were not seeing the full screen, and it was we couldn't hear the video.
Okay, now
Brigitta, just
I can see and hear you.
Okay, let's leave the video on the side because really,
Yes,
I don't know.
It's okay.
Time. And Brigitta, can you try to share the screen again so we can see if your presentation is visible? And
okay, Gaia, I'm having Brigitta send me the presentation. I'm currently uploading it to my drive since I don't have PowerPoint on my computer. So this upload will be finished in 3 minutes.
More complicated, so okay.
It's a very complicated thing, yeah.
It's more than, but I try really to share, and it asks me all the time whether I want to finish it, but I have only the screen point down for a screen. So and it's all open for me. Microphone is open, video, the camera is open, and the screen is open. Okay, perhaps you try at first to have the bishop's video.
there were some
Also
issues.
problem.
So
Okay.
there how it's downloading.
Okay. No, yeah, I'm uploading it now. It's crazy. Maybe Brigitta, you could start slowly. My computer is telling me that in 2 minutes they should be ready to show the presentation.
Okay. But I have told already the beginning without you could see something. Okay, then I do not know whether you would try the bishops now or at first.
I will ask Angelos to try again to stream the video. Okay. Shall you try again to share the video? Okay. No. And also we couldn't see it full screen. It was only one small light. I don't know. Okay. Okay, we will be waiting and then see if we have time to see it. Thank you. So let's go back to Theo and Brigitta.
Okay. Okay, I feel really very sorry that I have, but okay, I have no idea.
The same issues on Friday when I had the presentation for the post meeting and Giuseppe. So I sent my presentation to him and he was showing the presentation and I was presenting. So I know sometimes happen. Okay. And here we are.
Theo is Theo.
Talking from Berlin and sharing the screen from Barcelona.
Okay. The team is functioning. Yeah. Okay, then you can just switch it on.
Okay, it's telling me just some seconds. Just have a little bit more.
Okay.
I don't know. I booked a very quick and very strong internet, but just in this very moment, it was failing.
It does not work. This is typical.
It's always like just when you need it, you know. Okay, but I don't know if you see it because I have at the same time this meeting on a tablet and I don't see my screen, but I should be sharing it. Mia, do you see the presentation?
No. This is exactly what happened with me.
Yeah, you have exactly the same problem.
Wow. Okay, that's very interesting. Maybe it's an issue because I joined over the web. Maybe I have to join a free application. But this shouldn't be a problem.
Try to send it to me then. I will try to share my screen.
I have also shared it with web.
Yeah, this must be
the web.
This is the problem. Because I did not upload the app of this application.
So let's do it differently then. I will just install this thing.
No, can someone just try to send me the presentation in Skype? This saved me last week.
Okay, Theo is good. He will find.
I don't know if I have his contact.
Okay, Gaia, what is your Skype?
Okay, I will try to. Yeah. Theo is talking with you. Can you minimize the application? Sorry.
Yes. Sure. Just a second.
If we change it, transform it to a PDF, Theo, and this is because I have a PowerPoint.
Okay, I minimized it. I did. Okay, so I minimized the screen and I even left. I mean, with the second computer. That's beautiful, but you shouldn't see anything since I just left the meeting with the second computer. But okay, I seemed to experience some lag on my side, so everything happens a little bit later. So just be patient.
Mia, otherwise I will just tell it.
I think you can start.
Okay.
And we shall try to, otherwise we are really running late. So please, Brigitta, go on, and we will try to solve these issues either in one way or the other.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, no, because it's taking, I think, now too much time. Theo, just, do you manage, or shall I just tell?
Yeah, maybe it's better you just tell your presentation, yeah.
Okay. So I had already started by telling you that my first visit in Cyprus was in 2008 and 2009, then together with the director of the Institute of Museology in Berlin, which is managing the museums in Berlin, and not only in Berlin, in the meantime in all Germany, and is doing, how to say, the just coordination work. So Andreas Grote at this time, he had already told me at the first to take care of humidity, for instance, and what they would propose. And then just said, okay, make, when this is possible, a concept which includes all we would now say stakeholders, and have in mind that this is a site of cultural heritage, so it has to stand in the center of everything, and just to use the site itself and the collection. For the collection, it was a little bit problematic. I think perhaps I say something what will be told by the bishop later. There were at first, because the dioceses were recreated in Cyprus, and he then was becoming the bishop, the metropolitan of Constantia Amochostos, to which belongs normally a part also Famagusta, and with this a part of the occupied area. So his see is in Paralimni. The monastery is in Ayia Napa, which is not far from Paralimni, but a big part, for instance, of what was in the churches, icons or also archaeological and architectural objects, they were either lost, sold, or had disappeared, or they were collected in the Macarius collection in the archbishopric, to which also belongs the Byzantine Museum. So we, or not we, but the bishop has got his collection from the original collection from the Macarius Foundation. This included archaeological objects and especially icons. And the icons, while the archaeological objects were from all parts of Cyprus. Okay, I see something now. Theo? Okay, yeah. Okay, I see it.
Okay, yeah, I somehow, the problem was the app. You cannot do it over the web. You have to use the application.
Okay. This is good. So now, okay, then I go back, if you allow me, and start again with the beginning. But you have to do it, Theo. I think now I cannot do something with the PowerPoint. Okay, just you can then already move. So this was the starting point. Let's say the years 2008, 2009. You can continue already the next two slides. So what we had at this time was the idea of a museum. The next one, please, Theo. And I had stopped my last, when I said something, that I had grouped, let's say, a team, the first team for this work within my lectures and with students, but also post students from all fields which were also necessary for covering the collection. And the first thing what we had done were excursions, that they could be acquainted with all parts of Cyprus. The next one, Theo. Theo? Okay. And I had already said that we have immediately, because of course foreigners cannot come and just say, okay, now we are doing and we are preparing an exhibition in another country. I have I led one project in Georgia already for restoration, and I know that this is not possible, of course. And secondly, it's also just good to have a cooperation between local institutions and local competent specialists. But it's also not so bad to have a look from outside. So we had these two workshops in 2011, 2015 in Cyprus, the next one. But we had also an workshop or a presentation at my university, Freie University in Berlin. And this was in 2014. And when you see the scheme to the right side, we were already in a phase where the members of our team were already not all in Berlin. Theo, for instance, he was already and still is in Barcelona. One of my students has just written her thesis at the Sorbonne in Paris. And so we were just, let's say, somehow distributed between different places. And one of the first things we were creating, and to say it exactly, this was Theo Lerl, who is now helping us out of this dilemma, was an internal website, our wiki site, which was then collecting all our working activities with catalogs of the icons of the collection, catalog of the archaeological objects from the Macarius Foundation. And this was the first thing what we were doing to work on this collection catalog to catalog it and to do some research also for provenience and the objects itself. So this was the first thing in 2014. Theo, the next one. And to this, okay, now something is not showing. There was a drawing. Okay.
The image is not appearing, yeah. Okay, I go to the next one.
Okay, now it takes a little longer. So this, what were our, let's say, fields, what we were researching and looking for? This was from the very beginning research of the architecture, the next one, in the monastery itself, but also outside the monastery. So what you have seen from the report of the presentation of the Department of Antiquities, the next one, Theo. You have seen that what was already done by the department in the monastery. Theo, can we have the next one?
Yes, I am on the next one, but it's
okay.
again,
it's
happening like half a minute later.
Sorry, no, but we will manage. So it was this, let's say, material approach to see what is existent, but let's say the main activity was a research of literary sources. So I have only, and you can already show next one, of course, this Drummond inscription, also this of Pietro della Valle, but we have then, I think really, and this is manifest on our website, collected, I would never say everything, but a lot of what is available. And this was the first step also to enlarge our team. And I'm very happy that Lorenzo Calvelli is now also present. Professor Calvelli is teaching in Venice, and he is a specialist, what all living in Cyprus know, the specialist on also the history of this region. So with Lorenzo, who was then just coming to the team, we have more, or we could more systematize our work, and we're enlarging everything what could be found in archives in all the world. So we included, as I said, not only the historical buildings of the complex itself, the next one, Theo, but also everything in the environment, including the aqueduct, including the graffiti. For this, Mia is, of course, the specialist, but this was then enlarged and included everything what could be also found outside the monastery and what was connected historical with the monastery. And what I think was a first important step was to include also masonry marks, because they can hint to the to parallel buildings and to building activities in the environment of Ayia Napa. And Ayia Napa, which is not only close to Famagusta, was also historically connected with Famagusta. So, but all this research And the existence of a collection did, of course, not solve the question how to organize an exhibition of a collection of the Makarios Foundation especially, but including also what was existent from the monastery. So the next one. So we have then just taken not into consideration to make just a gallery exhibition, what you know from the Byzantine Museum in Nicosia, which from where we have the icons in our collection. But a gallery collection, we thought this could not correspond to the site. Also not, the next one, please. Also not for the archaeological objects. So we tried to find ways to, Theo? It takes a little long. So we tried to find ways to correspond with the exhibition to the monastic complex of Ayia Napa. We have many examples in Central Europe, but we have also in Cyprus and examples where historical buildings are, of course, the historical buildings itself, a kind of museum, but that they have also the possibility to use parts of these historical buildings for an exhibition. So we have made the same, or decided the same, to use the complex for, let's say, as a museum itself, and to adjust the exhibition of what we have to the single buildings, and especially to this building of the former cells, which is transformed now, changed to museum. The next one. And one of the first things was also inside the, okay, it takes again, inside the former cells of the monastery, to divide the rooms that they could house different parts of the exhibition. So one part of the exhibition was architecture, which is from the monastery itself. Architecture, what can be seen outside, but is shown also inside the museum. The next one. And this is what also, I will just go a little bit further already, what has been preserved in our exhibition. What had to be changed was the part with the archaeological artifacts from the Makarios Foundation, because they are stemming from all parts of Cyprus. So we have then said it would be better when, in the moment when the excavations started, to use for the exhibition in the central museum's buildings, showing the history, architecture and archaeological excavations of the site itself, and then to have an icon exhibition which should be also adapted to this, let's say, history of the just one. Go back. Okay, you have seen the archaeological exhibition. This was from the Makarios Foundation, and this is intended to show it in the tower, in the gatehouse, where it can be presented as a whole exhibition of archaeology, for which is representing let's say, the archaeological and history of Cyprus. For the museums, and this is, Paulina, you have already said the most, not the most important, what is important from your excavations. This is a topic which is then worked on together with Paulina, with the Cyprus Institute, and Joseph, which we have also included as a specialist for ceramics from Cyprus in our team, so that this is now, let's say, one part of the exhibition, which is, let's say, a Cyprus part, which was changed in order to have represented the history of this monastery in the exhibition of the museum. For the icons, we have also, I said, we have adapted now the whole exhibition following, let's say, the results of the excavations, so that our exhibition is now adapted to the history of the site, and which can be, and this was from the very beginning, that we wanted to be to make an exhibition for the visitor as well as for local people, because we, and that's why I had said at the very beginning, I have also not included, but I have asked former students now in the meantime, which had experience with guidance tours in museums, with working with people, with children, with school classes, and to know also what is attractive for people and where they can be involved. Because no one wants today to have just a presentation of beautiful objects. They want to be involved in order to learn something. So we have realized this concept now also for, or try to do it for the icon exhibition, for the first part, the historical part. There is already, we have proposed a cooperation also with the, not only with the Department of Antiquities for the excavations, but also for digitalization and for what we have also, Theo is also doing, or some in our group are doing also digitalization, but to work on a whole concept which is convincing and useful for these both groups, visitors and also local peoples and tourists. So we have made now the same and have already asked or proposed in the Cyprus Institute to work with us in the first room of the icon exhibition, which has, because we have 4 rooms with 4 topics. It's not just a gallery exhibition which is has a chronological order. This would not work in our case. We have 4 topics to illustrate the history of icons, icon schools in Cyprus, and the institute, the church as institute represented on icons, and the Virgin on icons. So all this is in the concept of the icon exhibition, but as introduction and as a transitional room between the first historical and archaeological rooms and the icon exhibition, we have this, what is important for the cave church, this name-giving icon of Ayia Napa, the mother of God of Ayia Napa. So we can in this room not only show this icon is not in reality, because will be only a photo and a digitalization, because the original will be in the cave church again, where people can venerate it and where it can be used as the icon, which it was since the 16th century, at least, about when we follow the historical sources. But we can, in this room, realize a concept, a didactic concept, because we have 3 icons under the same name of Ayia Napa, one in Ayia Napa, another one in Limassol, and one in Sotira. So we can make a narrative, or we have developed already a narrative concept for making it more interesting also for people to understand what happened in the 16th century and later. Theo, the next one. So the last room, and this is also important, and I want to say it especially in this framework now of cost, because this was already said by you, Mia, that it's very important to include also the other cave churches of the region. And our last room, and this will be, or we want to do it also and have proposed it to the Cyprus Institute to do it together with you, to present these cave churches and also the 3 big churches in the region, which can also show small icon exhibitions, and which in this way can be included in touristic programs. Because you have said entirely correctly that it's necessary to develop, and Sorin also, to develop a cultural tourism which has also to have a basis. And a museum is always a very good possibility. And we think that it is very good also to have a compound of museums. So we have in Ayia Napa the Thalasso Museum already. And when we have these small cave churches to visit, and we have also other churches like in Sotira, then we have there already icons, and they can also be visited and to be shown. So the next one, Theo. This was a photo. You can already show or go on to the next one. I want more or less to conclude with a photo from 2008. And this was from the Heliakos. And now our, because I said our presentation in Freie University was a museum in progress 2014. Now we are a museum in progress in 2020. And this Heliakos with some trees in it now is already planned after the restoration of the Department of Antiquities to be changed. Theo, next ones. So this is just what we are now presenting for the the Department of Antiquities, and what shall be the basis, or is planned to be the basis also for the contractor and the building companies, electricians, to have the concept not only of single icons, but already composition and realization how they can present it. The next one. We have in our concept this is what I want to, or with which I want in principle to conclude. We still have a next last picture. What we have in our concept is always to also to approach to this building as a museum which shall show objects, but which also is respects the building itself, and what is not just let's say showing beautiful or interesting things, but it shall connect the complex outside and the exhibition inside. And you see what happened in this, let's say, approach, what we had started in 2011. This is that our team has been enlarged. So we have not only the metropolis of Constantia Amorostos and the Academy of St. Epiphanius, which is leading and was responsible for this project, to our team, which is cooperating with the Cyprus Institute and the Department of Antiquities, and which was based on the original University of in Berlin, is already enlarged by Professor Calvelli with the University of Venice, and also the university in Tbilisi in Georgia, from where we have a restorer, Merab Buchukuri, who is also ready and wants to not only to have some of the icons restored, but also later to give lessons and to work also with local people. And this is what our, let's say, outlook with what I still want to give. We have tried until now to work in an interdisciplinary way with people from specialists and people from Cyprus, because you can see that there are only also Cypriots included, with people from many countries in the meantime, which are cooperating, which have networks themselves and have already published important works. So that's why we have, I think, with this team, this is the actual one, also all possibilities still to enlarge and to do what is planned for the future, to publish our research results, also to exchange or to support students' exchange between universities, the already here given, but there are already still other universities, and to do a work which is especially good for what you want also to support with this COST project, to do something for the for this cultural heritage, what is important not only for Cyprus but for all the world, I think. Thank you. And I excuse one more for all these problems, but it took a little bit longer. Thank you very much for your attention.
So thank you very much, Brigitta, for this overview about your work, your very long work with the museum and the area of Ayia Napa, for presenting your team. And now we can, we are, of course, pretty late. I would like to ask Angelos if it's possible to see the video, because I would really like, it's very important, I mean, to have also the bishop contribution. And then, okay.
Good morning to everybody. Welcome to this brief presentation of the monastery of Ayia Napa, where we developed the project for the installation of the Museum of Ayia Napa, but with many other activities. Now we are standing in the position, let's say, number 0, because from this holy place we have the beginning of the whole history of the monastery of Ayia Napa. That means we are standing just in the cave church, in which, according to the tradition, it was found the icon, the miraculous icon of Ayia Napa, and this was the reason of the development of the monastery of Ayia Napa. This, of course, was not the only factor, but this was the beginning of the history, given that this place for veneration of the icon of Mother of God with the name of the icon Ayia Napa existed already in the late Byzantine period. That means from the 10th century and further. Because of this holy place, the cave church dedicated to Mother of God, on the 16th century, this place was transformed to a monastery, and both denominations, the Orthodox and the Catholics, were venerate the Mother of God, and this is the reason we have this area here for the Orthodox people. They were coming from another entrance we have to the side, and just they came in front of the icon of Mother of God. To my left side, we have the Latin chapel, and this is the indication that the Latins, when they ruled Cyprus, they built this chapel just for venerating the icon of Ayia Napa. I started to develop some ideas how to continue using the monastery, given the fact that the monastery is found in the middle now of the small town of Ayia Napa. And as you know, Ayia Napa is very famous for the tourist region, place. And to function as a monastery, it's impossible. The noise or whatever, living in the middle of the town, the monks, this is not the ideal place. But of course, related to the history of the monastery, we started to develop the first ideas of the project of Ayia Napa, which includes proposed activities. But of course we didn't wait, and we don't wait till now, because now the works for the transformation are going on. But the activities already began, because in relation to the monastery, we had established our cultural academy with the name Ayios Epiphanios. The Cultural Academy of Ayios Epiphanios is planned to organize or to make activities like the geographical conferences for the geography of Cyprus, and from 2008 we had now organized 6 geographical conferences of Cyprus geography. This is one thing. From the 2009, our other activity we started to develop was the installation of a big part of the monastery, mostly the rooms of the monastery, to instill an exhibition of icons and other archaeological findings. But during the works for the installation of the museum, the Department of Antiquities did some excavations in the monastery and just out of the building, and many important findings were found, and of course we include these findings from the monastery to the exhibition, and this is what we try now to put in order so that to this a visitor of the museum could understand the history of the monastery or the surrounding, seeing also related to the history the archaeological findings from the excavations. Then another part of the museum includes icons from our diocese, but also from the occupied area of Cyprus. And of course, we want to relate the museum with what I did already mention at the beginning, the different caves like this one, the other caves of Ayios Epiphanios, Ayi Saranta, the other cave with engraved crosses, and many others. So we see this relation and the historical view of the hermits and monks living in caves in the whole area. Now we are in the Latin chapel. We are still searching to find exactly how it's functioning. What is important here is that we have some wall paintings of female saints venerated at the time, St. Katrina, St. Barbara, and probably St. Lucia Fotini in Greek. And many graffitis in this chapel, and of course in this we have the Latin Jerusalem cross. This is a copy of the icon of Ayia Napa. The original one was there, but just you see the style of the icon of Ayia Napa, Mother of God. And here is the altar of the Orthodox. The Latins, they had their altar to the other side. And of course, here is the whole cave, and we have also the Agiasma, the holy water, very important for the place because always a sacred place, most of the time is related also to a holy water. And of course, probably it was also for baptisms.
Bishop contribution. It's a short, I try to keep it short because originally we were thinking about 10 minutes presentation. We didn't respect in all of them the time. And so he had sent a longer presentation, and we try on his suggestion to reduce the presentation. And now we are at the last but not least presentation that is also one of the more relevant one, that is from Lola Vico. As I was telling you before, Lola Vico has been appointed of a short-term scientific mission here in Cyprus within the Coast Action Project. She will come and spend 1 month here. She will work with the stakeholders, with the local community of Ayia Napa, with the Cyprus Institute, and now she will tell us which are her plans, working plans for the specific case study. So good morning, Lola.
Good morning, Mia.
Thank you.
Because it doesn't work properly. So I should share the, okay. There is something that I should do in order to share my screen, or?
So just be
fine.
Did you find the button?
Sorry, no, I need to.
Okay, I will.
To close and reopen, which is wait, no, I'm sorry for this.
Okay, don't worry.
Could have imagined that. Do you have the presentation, right? Yeah. Okay. If you can share, will be much easier. Yeah, because no.
Okay, so I will share my screen with your presentation, and just tell me
Okay, it's the.
Can you see it?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So
sorry.
I think you should go to.
I will try to do it. Wait. No, you can start, and in the meanwhile, I will try to open it. Okay.
Okay, exactly. It's the first time I use this for meetings. So wait, because I lost my screen. Okay, so
You can go.
Okay, good. So next, please. You should go to point 6. Okay, good. So what I will tell you is the steps for the description of our work. We are doing this kickoff meeting, this webinar, which is the starting point. We will collect data and we will meet stakeholders. There will be documentary analysis, group discussion, working plan, and there's also a timeline. Next, please. Okay. And so I will hold this short-term scientific mission, and there's this field trip I'm really forward to go. Unfortunately, this is not the good moment for everybody to travel. Oh, I miss the screen. Okay. With this field trip, we will analyze the policies, regulatory frameworks, and the screen is okay. Okay. We will collect and analyze historical, economic, data about Ayia Napa region in social, cultural, all these dimensions. We will organize meetings and interviews with local stakeholders, as we previously saw with the Department of Antiquities, the Bishopric of Constantia of Famagusta, Municipality of Famagusta, municipalization team, and so on. And all these consultations will be organized throughout the process, from the strategies development to the implementation of the action plan, for being sure, because the success of this mission will be very, we need to work with the stakeholders. It's crucial for the success. Next, please. Okay. This is, you can see the key work areas and brief description, expected output, and the delivery date, which I put nothing because it's, I still don't know how, when will I will go there. So we will analyze similar cases about underground built heritage, trying to understand the policies framework and urban planning, and we expect to collect key data and framework policy regulations, so on. We will work with stakeholders. We will identify, this is already done. We will assess concerning and interest, and we will promote negotiation and partnership. We would like to achieve these civic engagement tools, empowering stakeholders and discovering key values. We will work on urban planning, cultural tourism, sustainable development constraints. And under this work area, the mission will assess risk, analyze technical constraints, evaluate urban planning and policies, and assess also religious constraints as it's religious place of use. We expect to have better planning tools, regulatory system for conservation and management of UBH. About dissemination, we will disseminate also results from all the above through report, research papers, journal, conferences, and so on. Next, please. Yeah. Thank you. So this is a case that combines urban space and religious place. So we will focus on two components, regional development and UBH development. For regional development, we will focus on policies and initiatives, capacity building, which is very important also for us. We will preserve conservation, work on innovation and knowledge transfer, public and private partnership, community-based organization, and so on. For UBH development, we have three phases: environment, economic, and social. So we expect that there will be an improvement of public facilities. There will be more room for local culture. We expect also the improvement of infrastructure, a change maybe in lifestyle, people attitude. From an economic point of view, we expect more employment, social welfare, equitableness incoming. And regarding environment, we hope that public transportation will be improved, so there will be less traffic and better preservation of green areas. Next, please. Next, please, Mia. Oh, no, expected results. We expect to produce a strategy development plan. We make recommendations for UBH reuse and conservation, but also for cultural and urban regeneration. We will assist the local stakeholders for creating a new model of UBH management, and we will support local stakeholders on technical issues like, I guess, architectural solutions for moisture, for structural equilibrium for the cave, and I guess maintenance also, disable access. I mean, all the technical issues that I don't know, but I can imagine, and we will try to support. And next, please. That's the end of my presentation. I will thank you all, and if you have any question or concerns, I will be happy to respond. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Lola, for also this overview. In the meanwhile, I'm trying to. Okay. So thank you for telling us what are what is the schedule, and give us an overview about your approach. And of course, we know both very well that being here, as it is always working with local communities, will need a constant adaptation and of the approach. So we will be helping you, and you are also lucky, as was telling Giuseppe before, to know Cyprus, to already know Cyprus, so you will be facilitated from this point of view, dealing with the local communities and the local societies. And I'm sure we will find the best way to collect all the information and to help the local stakeholders and the local community to develop sustainable models and a new approach towards one of their main, basically their main income, that is tourism, as that needs clearly to be modified and adapted after what we saw also with this pandemic. So we have finished for today. I'm very happy, and I want to thank all of you for, first of all, for your patience, because we are 1 hour late, technical issues and so on. But it was really great to have all of you and to have this first meeting online. We are looking forward to have the first in-person meeting, hopefully soon, with the team. As you have heard, it's an international team, except of the Coast Action that is based in Italy, Cyprus Institute here, but we have the team from Berlin with the team members from Spain, Italy, and again we have Lola from Croatia, that actually lives in Croatia, and hopefully soon we will meet together and go on with this project. I don't know if Giuseppe wants to say just a few words to conclude.
First of all, thanks, Mia, for this effort and the opportunity to also have a good level of knowledge of the situation. Also, thanks to the video of the bishop, but also thanks to the Berlin team. And I would like to invite them to join us in the cost action that is open. So the procedures for entering are very simple. Germany is already a member of the cost action, so it would be very easy to join us. And you can share your experience with all members of the action. Thank you all. I hope to meet you in person, maybe in Cyprus soon, when the borders will be open again.
Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you.
And see you soon. Thank you. Thank you also to and to the Department of Antiquities.
Thank you. See you soon. Bye bye.